Picture this, it's exactly 3:17 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon in September 2019. Sarah Mitchell is sitting in the control room of the Murchison Widefield array in the middle of the Australian Outback when her computer screen suddenly lights up with the most powerful radio signal ever detected from the direction of Proxima Centauri. The signal is broadcasting at precisely 1420.4 megahertz, the exact same frequency as the famous WOW signal that stunned astronomers in 1977, and it's lasting for exactly 72 seconds before cutting off completely. But here's the absolutely mind-blowing part. This isn't a one-time event. Every single Tuesday at exactly 3:17 p.m., this incredibly powerful signal repeats itself with mechanical precision, as if someone or something 4.24 light-years away is trying to send Earth a message on a schedule that defies every law of astrophysics we understand. For over a year, this signal has been arriving like clockwork, and nobody on Earth has any idea what it means or who's sending it. This is the story of the most important scientific discovery of our lifetime, and what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything you think you know about our place in the universe. The signal that's been coming from Proxima Centauri isn't just random cosmic noise or some natural phenomenon. It's showing patterns of intelligence, repetition, and intentionality that can only mean one thing: we are not alone, and somebody out there is trying to get our attention in a way that's impossible to ignore. Let me take you back to September 3rd, 2019 in the remote Australian Outback, about 800 kilometers northeast of Perth, where the Murchison Widefield array sits like something out of a science fiction movie. The MWA isn't your typical radio telescope. It's this incredible array of 4,096 spider-like antennas spread across 36 tiles covering an area of about 3 kilometers, all designed to capture radio waves from the deepest reaches of space with unprecedented sensitivity and precision. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had been working as the lead radio astronomer at the MWA for 3 years, ever since completing her PhD at Cambridge University with a specialization in SETI research and extragalactic radio astronomy. Sarah was the kind of scientist who lived and breathed the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, someone who had spent countless nights scanning the cosmos for any sign that humanity wasn't alone in the universe. She'd grown up reading about the WOW signal, that legendary 72-second burst of radio energy, detected by Ohio State University's Big Ear telescope on August 15, 1977, that had tantalized SETI researchers for decades, because it seemed to show all the characteristics of an artificial signal, but never repeat it. The MWA facility itself is located in one of the most radio-quiet zones on Earth, deliberately positioned in the middle of the Australian Outback, where there's virtually no human-generated radio interference for hundreds of kilometers in any direction. The landscape around the facility is this stark, beautiful desert environment with red dirt, sparse vegetation, and endless blue skies that make you feel like you're on Mars rather than Earth. The nearest town is a tiny settlement called Buludi Station, population maybe 20 people, and the nearest city of any size is Geraldton, over 300 kilometers away. The isolation is absolutely essential for the kind of work the MWA does, because detecting faint radio signals from space requires eliminating every possible source of earthly interference. Cell phone towers, radio stations, television broadcasts, microwave ovens, car ignitions, garage door openers, all of these things generate radio waves that can overwhelm the incredibly faint signals coming from distant galaxies and potentially habitable star systems. On that Tuesday afternoon in September 2019, Sarah was conducting routine observations as part of a long-term survey project designed to map radio emissions from nearby star systems that might harbor exoplanets. The MWA's computer systems were automatically scanning through different frequency bands and target coordinates, recording data that would later be analyzed for any unusual patterns or anomalies. Sarah had been at her workstation since about 1 p.m., reviewing data from the previous night's observations and planning the evening's observation schedule. The control room at the MWA is this high-tech command center filled with multiple computer screens, sophisticated signal processing equipment, and communication systems that connect the facility to astronomers and researchers around the world. Banks of servers in adjacent rooms process the enormous amounts of data that the array generates every second, looking for patterns and anomalies that might indicate everything from pulsars and quasars to potentially artificial signals. At exactly 3:17 p.m., Sarah's primary monitoring screen suddenly exploded with activity. The signal strength meter, which normally showed only the faint background hiss of cosmic radiation, spiked to levels that were off the charts. The frequency analyzer locked onto 10.4 MHz, the hydrogen line frequency that SETI researchers consider the most likely channel for interstellar communication, because it's a natural frequency that any technologically advanced civilization would recognize. "Holy shit," Sarah said out loud, even though she was alone in the control room. She'd been doing this work for over a decade, and she'd never seen a signal this strong coming from a point source in space. The power levels were indicating something like 10-15 watts, more energy than the entire sun outputs in radio frequencies. Sarah immediately started checking all the standard explanations for powerful radio signals. First, she verified that the signal wasn't coming from any known Earth-based sources, satellites, aircraft, terrestrial radio transmitters, or any other human technology that might be generating interference. The MWA's sophisticated filtering systems had already eliminated all known sources of earthly radio noise, and the signal's characteristics didn't match any terrestrial technology. Next, she checked whether the signal might be coming from any known astronomical objects. Pulsars can generate extremely regular radio pulses, but they typically operate at much higher frequencies and show different timing patterns. Solar flares and other stellar phenomena can create powerful radio bursts, but they're usually random and don't show the kind of precision timing that Sarah was observing. The signal lasted for exactly 72 seconds, then cut off as abruptly as it had begun. During those 72 seconds, the signal strength remained absolutely constant, without the kind of variation you'd expect from natural astronomical phenomena. The frequency stayed locked at exactly 1420.4 MHz, with a precision that suggested artificial generation rather than natural emission. After the signal ended, Sarah spent the next several hours analyzing every aspect of the data, looking for any clue about what might have caused such an extraordinary event. She checked and rechecked all the equipment to make sure there hadn't been any instrumental malfunction or data processing error. Everything checked out perfectly. The signal was real, it was coming from space, and it was unlike anything in the astronomical literature. Sarah contacted Dr. Michael Harrison, the facility director, who rushed over from his office in the main building about half a kilometer away. Harrison was a veteran radio astronomer with over 25 years of experience in SETI research, and he'd been involved in the analysis of several previous potential extraterrestrial signals that had eventually been explained as natural phenomena or instrumental artifacts. "Sarah, walk me through exactly what you observed," Dr. Harrison said as he studied the data displays showing the signal characteristics. Sarah pulled up the spectral analysis and signal strength plots on the main display screen. At 3:17 p.m. local time, we detected a powerful narrowband signal at 14.4 MHz coming from coordinates that correspond to the Proxima Centauri system. The signal lasted exactly 72 seconds, showed no frequency drift or variation in intensity, and then disappeared completely. Dr. Harrison studied the data for several minutes, his expression growing more serious as he absorbed the implications. "The timing is interesting. 72 seconds is exactly the same duration as the original WOW signal, and 1424 MHz is the classic hydrogen line frequency that SETI researchers have been monitoring for decades." They spent the rest of the afternoon and evening conducting a thorough analysis of the signal, comparing it to every known category of astronomical radio source. The signal's characteristics didn't match pulsars, quasars, magnetars, or any other type of natural radio emitter. The precision of the frequency, the exact timing, and the incredible power output all pointed toward an artificial origin. "We need to be extremely careful about how we proceed," Dr. Harrison told Sarah. "If this is what I think it might be, it's the most important discovery in human history. But we also need to make absolutely sure we're not missing something obvious before we start making any claims about extraterrestrial intelligence." They decided to implement a systematic observation protocol, pointing the MWA toward the Proxima Centauri coordinates during the same time period for the next several days, to see if the signal would repeat. The following day, Wednesday, September 4th, they detected nothing unusual during the 3:17 p.m. time slot. Thursday and Friday also showed normal background radiation levels, with no sign of the mysterious signal. But then came Tuesday, September 10th, exactly 1 week after the first detection. Sarah was back at her monitoring station at 3:15 p.m., watching the signal strength meters with intense anticipation. Dr. Harrison was there too, along with Dr. Emma Chen, signal processing specialist, who had driven up from Perth specifically to witness any potential repeat of the phenomenon. At exactly 3:17 p.m., the signal appeared again. This time, all three researchers were watching as the displays lit up with the same incredible radio burst at the same frequency, with the same duration, and the same power output. The precision was absolutely mind-blowing. The signal started at exactly the same time, lasted for exactly 72 seconds, and then disappeared exactly as it had the week before. "This is not a natural phenomenon," Dr. Chen said as she watched the real-time spectral analysis. "Natural radio sources don't show this kind of temporal precision. We're looking at something that's being transmitted according to a very specific schedule." The weekly repetition pattern continued for month after month. Every Tuesday at 3:17 p.m. Australian time, the signal would appear from the direction of Proxima Centauri, broadcast for exactly 72 seconds at exactly 14.4 MHz, and then disappear until the following week. The precision was so perfect that the researchers could set their watches by it. Dr. Harrison contacted the International Astronomical Union and the SETI Institute to report the discovery and request independent verification from other radio telescopes around the world. Within weeks, radio astronomy facilities in Chile, South Africa, and the United States were all pointing their instruments toward Proxima Centauri during the Tuesday afternoon time slots. The Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile was the first to independently confirm the signal. Dr. Rodriguez Morales, the lead astronomer at ALMA, reported detecting the same 72-second burst at 14.24 MHz at exactly the time predicted based on the MWA observations. The confirmation from a completely different instrument operated by different researchers eliminated any possibility that the signal was an instrumental artifact or data processing error. Over the following months, radio telescopes on 6 continents confirmed the weekly signal pattern. The consistency was remarkable. No matter which instrument was used or which research team was conducting the observations, everyone detected the same signal with the same characteristics at the same time every week. The scientific community was absolutely electrified by the discovery. The signal showed every characteristic that SETI researchers had predicted for an artificial extraterrestrial transmission. A precise frequency at the hydrogen line, regular timing patterns, enormous power output, and origination from a nearby star system known to harbor potentially habitable planets. Proxima Centauri, the source of the signals, is a red dwarf star located 4.24 light-years from Earth in the Alpha Centauri system. In 2016, astronomers had discovered an Earth-sized exoplanet, Proxima Centauri b, orbiting within the star's habitable zone, where liquid water could potentially exist. The planet receives similar amounts of energy from its star as Earth receives from the Sun, making it one of the most promising candidates for harboring life that we've identified anywhere in the galaxy. The timing of the signal was particularly intriguing because it seemed to be calibrated to Earth's rotation and time zones. The 3:17 p.m. Australian time corresponded to specific times of day at major radio astronomy facilities around the world, suggesting that whoever was transmitting the signal understood Earth's geography and the locations of human scientific installations. Dr. Sarah Mitchell became the lead coordinator for what was being called the Proxima Signal Research Project, the international collaboration involving dozens of radio telescopes and hundreds of researchers around the world. Every week, teams of scientists would gather at their facilities to monitor the Tuesday afternoon transmission and collect data that might provide clues about the signal's origin and purpose. The signal analysis revealed additional layers of complexity that strengthened the case for artificial intelligence. The 72-second duration wasn't random. It matched the length of the original signal exactly, suggesting that whoever was transmitting the new signals was familiar with Earth's radio astronomy history and was deliberately referencing that famous detection. The frequency choice was equally significant. The 14.4 MHz hydrogen line frequency is considered a universal constant that any technological civilization would recognize. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and its characteristic radio emission frequency would be known to any species that had developed radio astronomy. SETI researchers had long theorized that extraterrestrial civilizations would use this frequency for interstellar communication, precisely because it would be recognized by any scientifically advanced species. The power output required to generate the observed signal strength across 4.24 light-years was staggering, Calculations suggested that the transmitter would need to be outputting at least 10-15 watts in radio frequency energy, roughly equivalent to the total power consumption of human civilization focused into a narrow beam and transmitted toward Earth. This represented a level of technological capability far beyond anything humans had achieved. As months passed and the weekly signals continued with perfect regularity, researchers began looking for more subtle patterns within the 72-second transmissions. Advanced signal processing techniques revealed that the signals weren't just simple constant frequency pulses. They contained modulation patterns that varied slightly from week to week. Dr. Lisa Wang, a mathematician and cryptographer from MIT who had joined the research project, discovered that the modulation patterns were encoding numerical sequences. The first few transmissions had contained prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, presented in binary format within the signal structure. Subsequent transmissions had encoded mathematical constants like pi in the square root of 2. Whoever is sending these signals is demonstrating mathematical knowledge that proves intelligence, Dr. Wang reported to the international research team. They're not just sending random radio noise, they're communicating mathematical concepts that any technological civilization would recognize. The mathematical content of the signals provided the strongest evidence yet that the transmissions were artificial rather than natural. No known astronomical phenomenon could generate radio emissions that encoded prime numbers and mathematical constants. The signals were clearly being constructed by an intelligence that understood mathematics and was trying to establish communication with other intelligent beings. The discovery of mathematical content in the signals created intense excitement throughout the scientific community and began attracting attention from government agencies and space organizations around the world. NASA, the European Space Agency, and space agencies from China, India, and Russia all requested access to the signal data and began conducting their own analyses. The weekly pattern continued throughout 2019 and into 2020, with each transmission providing new mathematical content that demonstrated increasingly sophisticated knowledge. The signals progressed from simple arithmetic to complex equations involving calculus, number theory, and advanced physics concepts that suggested the senders had achieved a level of scientific understanding comparable to or exceeding human knowledge. Dr. Harrison established protocols for attempting to respond to the signals. Using the MWA's transmission capabilities, the research team began broadcasting their own mathematical sequences toward Proxima Centauri during the time periods immediately following the weekly receptions. The response transmissions included confirmations of the mathematical concepts that had been received, along with additional mathematical information that demonstrated human scientific capabilities. The big breakthrough came in March 2020. When the signals began showing response patterns that indicated the senders were receiving and analyzing the human transmissions. The mathematical content started including concepts that had been transmitted from Earth, but presented in modified form that showed understanding and expansion of the original ideas. They're not just sending us information, Dr. Wang announced during a press conference at MIT. They're engaging in actual mathematical dialogue. They receive our transmissions, process the mathematical content, and then send back more advanced versions of the same concepts. This is genuine, two-way communication with an extraterrestrial intelligence. The confirmation of interactive communication with an extraterrestrial civilization sent shockwaves around the world. The discovery dominated news headlines for weeks and prompted emergency sessions of the United Nations, congressional hearings in the United States, and emergency meetings of space agencies and defense organizations worldwide. Religious leaders grappled with the theological implications of confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence, while philosophers debated what the discovery meant for human concepts of uniqueness and significance in the universe. Scientists worked frantically to develop more sophisticated communication protocols that might allow for more complex information exchange beyond mathematical concepts. The Proxima signals also raised important questions about the intentions and capabilities of the senders. The ability to generate such powerful radio transmissions suggested technological capabilities far in advance of human science, while the precise timing and mathematical content demonstrated detailed knowledge of human scientific development and communication preferences. Some researchers worried about the security implications of advertising Earth's location and technological level to an unknown extraterrestrial civilization. The human response transmissions were effectively broadcasting our planet's coordinates and scientific capabilities to beings whose motivations and intentions remained completely unknown. Dr. Harrison worked with international space agencies to establish protocols for future communications that would provide useful scientific information while avoiding disclosure of sensitive details about human technology, population, or potential vulnerabilities. The protocols emphasized mathematical and scientific concepts that would demonstrate human intelligence without revealing strategic information that could potentially be used against Earth's inhabitants. The pandemic disruptions of 2020 created additional challenges for the research project, as travel restrictions and lockdown orders limited researchers' ability to gather at observation facilities. However, the weekly signals continued without interruption, providing a sense of continuity and wonder during a difficult period in human history. Remote monitoring systems allowed researchers to continue collecting signal data even when facilities were operating with reduced staff. The mathematical content of the signals during this period seemed to include concepts related to biological systems and disease modeling, leading some researchers to speculate that the senders might be aware of the pandemic and were offering relevant scientific information. By late 2020, over 60 weekly transmissions had been received and analyzed, creating a substantial database of mathematical and scientific information that represented the most significant addition to human knowledge since the development of modern science. The signals had provided insights into advanced physics, mathematics, and potentially biological sciences that were decades or centuries ahead of human understanding. The research project expanded to include teams of linguists, anthropologists, and social scientists who were working to understand the cultural and social implications of contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. The mathematical communication represented just the beginning of what could potentially become a comprehensive exchange of knowledge between Earth and Proxima Centauri. Dr. Mitchell, who had detected the very first signal, found herself at the center of the most important scientific discovery in human history. The quiet afternoon in the Australian Outback, when she first noticed the anomalous reading on her computer screen, had changed not just her own life, but the trajectory of human civilization. "Sometimes I still can't believe it's real," Sarah told reporters during an interview in late 2020. "Every Tuesday at 3:17, my phone starts buzzing with messages from researchers around the world confirming that the signal has arrived again. We're having a conversation with an alien civilization that lies 25 trillion miles away, and it started with a simple radio telescope in the middle of nowhere, Australia." The Proxima signals continued throughout 2021 and beyond, with the mathematical content becoming increasingly sophisticated and the communication protocols becoming more refined. The weekly conversations between Earth and Proxima Centauri established a new era in human history, the age of confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence and active interstellar communication. The discovery fundamentally changed humanity's understanding of our place in the universe. We were no longer alone, no longer unique, no longer the only intelligence in our cosmic neighborhood. The signals from Proxima Centauri proved that the universe was teeming with intelligence, and that communication between civilizations separated by vast distances was not only possible but actively happening. The long-term implications of the Proxima signals extended far beyond pure scientific discovery. The mathematical knowledge transmitted from Proxima Centauri was already leading to advances in physics, engineering, and technology that would reshape human civilization. The confirmation that faster-than-light communication was possible through some unknown mechanism opened up entirely new areas of scientific research. Perhaps most importantly, the signals provided hope for humanity's future. The fact that an extraterrestrial civilization was actively communicating with Earth suggested that intelligent species could survive the technological and environmental challenges that face developing civilizations. The mathematical concepts transmitted from Proxima Centauri included information that appeared to address problems like sustainable energy, environmental management, and large-scale engineering that were directly relevant to Earth's current challenges. The weekly signals from Proxima Centauri had transformed a routine radio astronomy survey into the most important scientific project in human history. What began as an unexplained anomaly detected by a single researcher in the Australian Outback had become proof that we are not alone in the universe, and that interstellar communication between intelligent civilizations is not just science fiction, but scientific fact. The story continues every Tuesday at 3:17 p.m. Australian time, when radio telescopes around the world turn toward Proxima Centauri to receive the next installment in humanity's first conversation with our cosmic neighbors. Each transmission brings new knowledge, new insights, and new questions about the universe we share with other intelligent beings. If you found this incredible story of first contact through radio signals as amazing as I did, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're living through the most extraordinary period in human history. And there are new discoveries happening every week that are reshaping our understanding of the cosmos. From breakthrough discoveries in astrobiology to advances in interstellar communication technology, we're covering all the latest developments in humanity's ongoing conversation with our neighbors around Proxima Centauri. Drop a comment below if you think the Proxima signals represent genuine extraterrestrial intelligence, or if you have your own theories about what these weekly mathematical transmissions might mean for the future of human civilization.